Hi everyone, it's your girl Bebe Clement, the author of How to Go from Employee to Entrepreneur and the host of your weekly business show, Bebe Means Business, the show where we discuss everything you ever wanted to know about business but you were afraid to ask. How do I start my business? How do I raise the finance? How do I grow my business? Where am I going to find my... Thank you for joining me once again on your business show of the week, Bebe Means Business. This is where you get your weekly dose of advice, encouragement, education, information, and everything that you need in order to do well in business and to become financially free. As you know, I'm your host, Bebe Clement, and I run a group of successful companies. And as well as those companies, I'm also the author of How to Go from Employee to Entrepreneur. For those of you who are joining us for the very first time, welcome. And for those of you who have been on the journey with us for the last few months, thank you so much for your commitment. Your feedback is doing so great. It's helping us shape the program, making sure that we're giving you what you need in order to do well in business. For those who were not able to join us last week, and those of you who were, last week was such a great show for many, many reasons. First of all, we had the highest number of listeners and viewers for last week's show than we've ever had before. So thank you so much for tuning in. And also, for the first time, we had more women than men watch the show, which is interesting. So I don't know whether it had anything to do with the topic. The topic last week, as if you remember, was how to raise finances to fund your business idea. And it was a really good show, and we were really fortunate to have Mr. Bidemi Alabi on the program, and he was just a wealth of information and advice. And we looked at a number of things, which I'd like to quickly go over because I think they're important. So many of you called in and contacted us afterwards and said it was such a great show, you learned a lot. So I just want to very quickly go over some of the things that we discussed before we get to today's program. Okay, so we talked about what do you need money for when you start a business? What exactly do you need money for? And we divided those two things into two categories. You need money for working capital and capital investment. Now, working capital is money that you need in order to have the business keep ticking over on a daily basis. So you're looking at things like your staff costs. And Bebe was brilliant because because of his finance background, he brought things to the program that I would never really have thought of because I just take them for granted as an employer. So aside from, of course, staying staff wages, he reminded us of things like your pension contributions, your employer's liability, that kind of thing, the money you need for professional association subscriptions, professional contributions, tax, all those kind of things that you never really think of when you're about to start a business. You just have your dream and you want to go. You never really think about things like that. You also have to have things like professional indemnity insurance, that kind of thing. All those things that you need in relation to staff and all that. You also need things like your stationery, your letterheads, your business cards, all flyers, your marketing material, all those kind of things. They cost money. Look at things like your website. And when people talk about their website, they just think about, okay, I'll just get something off the shelf. But they don't remember things like domain names have to be paid for. That website has to be hosted. It's not just a matter of getting a website. Somebody has to host it. You have to pay for that service. And depending on how you want to use your website, so for instance, my website, www.bbclement.com, is an e-commerce website, and by that I mean you can actually make purchases on the website. So the more sophisticated your website, or the more you want your website to do, the more expensive it becomes. So you have to take all that into account. Other daily costs like things like taking clients out, hosting clients, things like that. All that costs money, and you have to factor it into your cost. Now, your investment capital is for more your long-term, heavy-duty stuff. So things like your IT system, your computer system, your phone system, things like heavy machinery. If you are into manufacturing, or your manufacturing plants, your rent, your lease, your business rates, all those kinds of things that, again, people don't often think about when they're going to start a business. So we try to help you concentrate your mind on those things. Then we looked at, well, where do I find all this money? Where am I going to find it? And we spoke about the importance of having different income streams really comes to play here, because if you own personal assets or you have different income streams, let's say you have a really good business idea and you think, I want to start it, but I don't have any money. You could liquidate some other income streams. So let's say you had a share portfolio, you could liquidate some of your shares, or if you had a property, you could use that. You could remortgage your property or use it as collateral for a loan, that kind of thing. We also looked at angel investors who could also invest in your company or your business idea. We looked at things like credit cards, family and friends. You'll be amazed, your friends and family that have money and they don't know what to do with it. But the Bible says you have not because you ask not. So if you ask family and friends, you might be surprised at what they've been willing to give you. And then we looked at banks, not my most favorite source of raising income, but notwithstanding, still works for some people. Okay, so that's in a summary were the kind of things that we looked at last week. And again, I'm so glad that you tuned in. Just to say, as always, that this is a live show. And if you're tuning in for the first time, you can indeed contact us. I'll be giving out those contact details in a minute. And then you can have, if you have any questions, just send us in your questions during the show. I'm taking those questions and I'll be answering them after the break. Okay, so let's get down to business for today. What are we looking at today? We're looking at the 3 things that you need to be successful in business and how to develop them. So we're going to be looking at the person, we're going to be looking at the process, and we're going to be looking at the product. The person, the process, and the product. And if you're going to do well in business, you must learn how to develop those 3 things. Okay, so let's look first of all at the person, which is you, the one with the business idea, the one at which the buck ends, the one who has all the success when it comes, but carries all the headache and the sleepless nights if it ain't going so well. So that's you. Now, successful entrepreneurs, I believe, have certain characteristics that you must develop if you're going to do well. You must develop them. They're not an add-on. They're not a perhaps or a maybe. These are things that you have to have if you're going to do well in business. The first one is you must have a very good work ethic. You must be a hard worker. Now, this is something I'd say to those of you who have not yet made the jump. Let's say you're still working and you're considering whether you should start your own business. If you are already complaining that you are working too hard as an employee, then maybe you want to reconsider being an entrepreneur, because I can guarantee you that you are going to work 10 times harder on your own business than you are working right now. I don't care how hard you're working now, you will work 10 times harder. And whereas when you're an employee, you can kind of leave work and then, go home and relax and chill and everything like that. As an entrepreneur, you're almost always on, if you know what I mean. Your hours are not fixed. They're not 9 to 5. I mean, there have been times where I've been on the phone to clients at 11 o'clock at night. If the client has a specific deadline and they need me to do something really urgently, they may pay me a bit more, but notwithstanding, it is still 11 o'clock at night. So if you want your cushy work hours, you just want to do 9 to 5, you don't want any headache, you don't have to take work home, then you may want to reconsider the whole entrepreneurship line. It may not be for you, because you will have to work a lot harder than you're working now. So another thing is you need to deal with things like procrastination. Procrastination, by my definition, is leaving things until next week that you should have done a month ago. Leaving things until next week that you should have done a month ago. So some of us, procrastination is endemic. It's something we've grown up with, and it's endemic. And I really think that procrastination is a thief. I really do. I think it's a thief, and it's a twin of laziness. So there are ways to deal with it. We all have certain elements of it, and I had to ruthlessly root it out of my life, because I would never have done well if I had continued the way in which I was procrastinating. So here are some of the things that I've done that helped me that I could share with you. The first thing is, deal with the difficult tasks first. Many of us do the opposite. We start with the easy tasks and think that we will work our way up. We fool ourselves into thinking we will work our way up to the difficult task. And oftentimes, by the time you've finished the mundane task, you're still tired. So you don't want to do the difficult task. So I would strongly encourage you to do the difficult tasks first. On a daily basis, divide what needs to be done into 3 categories. This is what I do. So every day, when you sit at your desk, write down, make a table, if so to speak, and let it have 3 headings. And those headings will be imperative, important, and can wait. Imperative, important, and can wait. And all the tasks that you have to do for that day, slot them into those 3 headings. So let's say, and of course, things like that have deadlines would go under imperative. So for instance, you have to file your tax. That's definitely going to be imperative. If you're in the legal field, for instance, a lot of the legal field is deadline driven. So for instance, I do employment law. My background is employment law. And if you're doing, you're filing an employment tribunal claim for a client, you have a specific window with which to get that claim filed. So it's 3 months from the termination date. So if you know that the termination date for your client is in 2 days' time, then that would definitely go under imperative. And that's something that you have to do. Also, by way of just general work ethic and excellent customer service, I would encourage you to get into the ethos of under-promising and over-delivering. And that, of course, will determine where you would put certain things that you need to do for a client. So, for instance, if I had told the clients that I will get their work finished for them and they will have it on their desk by Friday evening, I will make a mental note to make sure that it is on that client's desk by Wednesday morning. So again, if this is Tuesday afternoon, then of course that task would go under imperative. Then the next column would be important. The things that have to be done, but maybe they can wait a few days, but they're important all the same. And then things that can wait. So maybe things that have a 3-month deadline or a month deadline, or I can do further down, maybe research or something like that, or I can do it at my leisure, then those ones are not that important and they can wait. But it's really important that you get into the habit of doing something like that, because your greatest resource in business, as indeed in life, is time. So you cannot afford to mess about, especially when you're just starting out. You can't afford. You must establish a routine from very early on that you can stick to, so that will help you in your business. Okay. Very closely related to that is self-discipline. Self-discipline. Ooh, that's a huge one. Huge one. Now, one of the things that is a problem, if you know you have problems in this area, then you're going to have to be ruthless. You can't afford the softly approach when it comes to self-discipline. So, for instance, if you know that you are addicted to social media, then I would encourage you to look at your phone at intervals. So let's say first thing in the morning, you need to look at your phone to maybe see what clients have sent you, or you need to do some social media work. Like this morning, for instance, I had to do my social media to let everybody know that the show is on, just to remind them and everything like that. Then I would switch it off if I was you. If it's something that you can afford to do, switch it off or check it at intervals. So you could say, for instance, I would check my phone during my short break at around 11:30. You can check it then. Or I would check my phone at lunchtime, which is about 1 o'clock, that kind of thing. But you're going to the point being, you have to be ruthless in disciplining yourself, especially with things like that. There are phone calls. If you're in the habit of making long phone calls with your friends, or your friends call you, I think you need to get the message across to your friends very quickly that actually I'm working. You know, you don't have to be rude, but you do have to get that message across. It will help you as well that I am, even though I'm working for myself, I am still working. So those hour-long gossip phone calls, they're going to have to go. They're really going to have to go if you want to do well in business. So if I kind of categorize each phone call I get, I think, okay, is this phone call, is it getting me any nearer my goal in business, or is this just chit chat? So if it's just chit chat, a few pleasantries, and hope you're doing well, blah blah blah, maybe a little bit of gist, and then I bring it to a close. If it's something, of course, that's going to promote my business or move me forward in my purpose and my dreams, then that, of course, takes longer. But if it's not, bare minimum. I don't have the time to be having ridiculously long conversations about what happened in EastEnders yesterday. You don't have the time for that. So those kind of things, keep them to a minimum and be disciplined. A lot of things are, like I said, time sensitive. So they have penalties if you don't discipline yourself. So for instance, I have known people who have missed a tax deadline. And of course, they get fined for that. But not only do they get fined, but they get fined multiple times, and that fine grows and grows. I have known £100 fine to grow into something like £5,000 because people miss deadlines and continue to miss deadlines. So this is really important that you get into the habit of disciplining yourself in relation to your business. Now, another thing that you need to do in developing the person is you need to develop tenacity and fortitude. Now, let me tell you now, you have to develop thick skin in business because there are going to be a lot of slammed doors in your face, and you're going to hear a lot of no's and a lot of don't bother me agains. Don't take it personally, get used to it, and develop a thick skin. So pick yourself up, brush down your ego, and go do it again. So if you knock on somebody's door and they slam it in your face, don't take it personally. For every no, you are getting closer to a yes. Every no brings you closer to a yes. So just keep going. Now, tenacity for me is someone who keeps going when everybody else has given up, everybody else is tired, everybody else has dropped the dream or the vision and gone to do something else. Everybody else has worked plan A, plan A hasn't worked, so they've implemented plan B. If you are going to do well in business, you can't do that. You must have tenacity. I would strongly encourage you to put yourself in a position in relation to your business where it is swim or sink. It is do or die. It is fight or retreat. I'm a strong believer. I know people say this, always have a backup plan. Maybe that works for some people, but I have found that if you have a backup plan, you tend to always revert to that backup plan. I would rather have a plan A, and I'm going to work that plan A until I find what I'm going to get, what I want in business, rather than have a backup plan. Because as long as you have a backup plan, you're always looking at that backup plan, you're always being drawn to that backup plan. Work your plan with tenacity, irrespective of what happens. Work it until it works. That's what you need to do in business. And you must have fortitude. You must be able to take the disappointments, because there will be disappointments. You must be able to take the dark times, because there will be many dark times. You must be able to get past the sleepless nights. I can't tell you the number of sleepless nights I've had over business. So all these things, you have to have tenacity, and you must have fortitude and keep going. I read something online the other day that I thought was brilliant, so I want to share it with you. It said, many of life's failures are people who didn't know how close they were to success before they gave up. Wow. Wow. Many of life's failures, in particular, are those who didn't know how close they were to success before they gave up. So keep going. If you're in a dark place now in your business, don't be discouraged. Dust yourself up. Do what you need to do to keep going. You have to learn to multitask. This is part of your personal development. To learn to multitask, because when you're an employee, you're spoon-fed. So your wage slip didn't come, so you ring up payroll and you tell them, oh, my wage slip didn't come. They say, oh, really sorry, Mrs. Clement, we'll get that to you in the post today. When you start your own business, you are going to be wearing every hat. You are payroll, you are the legal department, you are the IT person, you are everything. So you are going to have to learn to multitask. And I think this is why I think that women are better suited as entrepreneurs, because women are natural multitaskers. I've got my baby on my shoulder. I'm burping my baby, and I'm mixing the stew for dinner, that kind of thing. Women are natural multitaskers, but you are going to have to learn to multitask if you're going to be an entrepreneur. So if you're one of those people that, oh, I can only do one thing at a time, ain't gonna work. Ain't gonna work, especially in those early days, perhaps before you're able to afford any staff or anything like that. You are going to have to learn to multitask. The next thing is dedicate yourself to lifelong learning. Dedicate yourself to lifelong learning. Learn all you can about what is trending in your industry. Particularly if you're just starting out, learn everything that you can about the industry that you're going to go into. Do not enter a business on a wing and a prayer. Oh, it will all come together. No, it won't. It won't all come together. So you need to learn as much as you can about your industry. Aside from that, it just does not make you look good if clients or customers are asking you certain things about your industry and you're umming and ahhing and you don't know where to look for the information. It affects your credibility and you will never be seen as the go-to person in your industry. And that is what you want to be seen as. So make sure that you continue to learn. You continue to learn. You cannot afford to become a dinosaur. And yesterday's technology, or yesterday's information and yesterday's knowledge is yesterday's knowledge. Things are moving so quickly. It is scary. It is really, really scary. I was watching something today. Somebody sent me something on WhatsApp, and they were saying that TVs, I don't know how true this is, but they reckon that TVs, as we know them, are going to become obsolete in a little while. They said because now the Chinese have produced something whereby you can watch TV from your phone. And I don't mean actually look at the phone, that your phone will be acting like a projector. So all you need is a hard and clear surface, and it will project onto that surface. Maybe it's a wall, a door, or your kitchen table. Anything that has a flat surface, it will project onto it, and you can watch your TV that way. I mean, the technology is just mind-blowing. It is mind-blowing. So if you're somebody who, oh yes, well I went to a seminar about this a year ago. A year ago's information is useless now. It's useless. You have to keep going. Keep reading. Keep listening to Bebe Means Business, the place that you need to come to get all the information you need about business. Keep watching that. Keep learning. Go to seminars. Surround yourself with people who can give you the kind of information that you need. Surround yourself with the right kind of people who are going somewhere. Get rid of time wasters. Make sure that you stay up to date. You are current all the time in your business. Otherwise, you will become a dinosaur. It really is that simple. All right, in a little while, we're going to go for a break. But before we do, just to let you know that this is an interactive program. It's a live show. And I want to hear your views. And you can ask any questions you have. And I'll be answering all those questions after 2 o'clock. You can hook us up on Twitter. Our Twitter handle is @StarRadioUK, @StarRadioUK. Or you can text or WhatsApp us on 07539 661 744. That number again, 07539 661 744. Or email us at info@StarRadioUK. Or join us, as you know, on Facebook at Star Radio UK. All right, so let's keep going. And at 2 o'clock, we'll take a short break. Now, like I said earlier, you need to surround yourself with the right people. And as part of that, one of the things that you definitely need, and I cannot overemphasize this. I know I talk about this a lot, but I talk about it for a reason. You must have mentors. It's imperative. Have someone who can show you the ropes, hold you to account. Yeah. One of the things that I do is I lead a mastermind group. And the mastermind group, we're about 9 or 10 members, and we meet every other week. excuse me, we meet every other week. And one of the things one of the main things we do is we hold each other to account. So every time we have that meeting, each person goes away with some homework in relation to their business. And when they come back, they have to report to the rest of the group how far they've gone with that homework. So that holds you to account. So let's say you said, okay, I'm going to, my website isn't looking too good. I'm going to update my website. And then other things come into your everyday business life and you begin to drift and you forget about it. When you have those kind of people around you and you know that in 2 weeks' time I'm going to have to give an account of what I did, then that helps concentrate your mind. So surround yourself with people who can hold you to account in your business. People who can speak truth into your life in relation to your business. Because sometimes we're in denial. Sometimes we lie to ourselves. We think we're doing so well. And it's a lie. And if we have people that we respect enough to speak into our life that can help us with some home truths, we will save a lot of time. Sometimes we've gone down the business path. Everybody makes mistakes and nobody gets it right all the time. So there's no point in us beating ourselves up over it. But sometimes we've gone down the business path that somebody else can see this ain't going nowhere. And sometimes it's even our pride. Our pride won't let us admit. Sometimes we even know that this isn't working, but our pride won't let us admit it to ourselves. Maybe we've told everybody or we've told our spouse, I'm going to do this, I'm going to be successful at this. And then we've got into it and we can see that actually I've made a mistake there, but your pride won't let you come out. If you have somebody that you respect enough in your life who can tell you, baby, this was a mistake. You are not doing this right, or this is not going to work, or you need to give it up now. You've been flogging this dead horse, this business idea for the last 5 years. Clearly it's not going to work. You need to walk away now and do something else, or invoke another business idea. That will help you. So surround yourself with people like that. Now, of course, you need to keep investing yourself, just like I've said. I cannot overemphasize the importance of reading. Now, in as much as seminars and stuff like that and radio shows like this are great, but reading, I think, is got to be the king of all learning, because you assimilate a lot more. I mean, this is a one-off show, so except you watch it again, it's gone, and nobody gets information that quickly. So you need to be able to read. When I read a book on success, I tend to read it first, make notes, underline stuff, then I go back and read it again. The stuff that I've underlined that really was important, I read it again. I get more juice out of it, look for how I can apply it to my business and things like that. So yes, it's important that you do that. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. For those of you who are just joining us, we're just going to take a short break. And then when we come back, we'll be looking at the process. So right now, we've dealt with how to develop the person. And when we come back, we'll be looking at how to develop the process. Don't go away. I'll be right back after the break.
Hi everyone, it's your girl Bebe Clement, the author of How to Go From Employee to Entrepreneur and the host of your weekly business show, Bebe Means Business, the show where we discuss everything you ever wanted to know about business but you were afraid to ask. How do I start my business? How do I raise the finance? How do I grow my business? Where am I going to find my customers? Join me every Tuesday at 1:30 p.m. on Star Radio UK to get all the information and tips that you need to become a successful entrepreneur and become financially free. Remember, don't let life dictate to you. Rather, put your signature on life.
Get ready for this.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Bebe Means Business Show. For those of you who are just joining us today, we are looking at how to develop the 3 Ps: the person, the process, and the product. That's what we're looking at today. And I've had a couple of questions come in, and I'm going to be dealing with those questions. Okay. The first question is, Dear Bebe, thank you for your insightful comments on our challenges last week. Okay, it has allowed us to look at our business in a different light. I can now see a lot of my personality in the business. If if I can be critical, my personality needs to, oh, I can be critical, sorry. My personality needs to change to take the business to the next level, as I'm intuitively averse to risk. Whilst the business needs to take on more risk, how do I overcome my aversion to risk for the sake of the business? I think that's a common issue. I think that's a common problem, to be honest. And I must admit, I'm not one of those people who have no aversion or little aversion to risk. I'm not. Or I have a propensity towards a great amount of risk. I don't. But I think the key to having, to taking risks is to be able to take a calculated risk. A calculated risk. You must take risks in business. There's no other way. There's just no way you can get around that. But you must take risks. You can take risks that you are comfortable taking. It doesn't have to be a great big leap into the abyss. So let's say, for instance, you've decided that you're going to be investing in shares and bonds. You don't have to remortgage your house and take all the equity out of it and put it in shares just to prove a point that you're not averse, that you're not risk averse. You can say that, okay, every month I'm going to put 10%, I'm going to invest 10% of my income into shares. That's a risk because it could go belly up, but it's a calculated risk. It's a risk that if it doesn't work out, you can still pay the mortgage and you won't be homeless. So the key to being able to take risk is to take a calculated one. So thank you very much, Pam, for your questions. I love Pam. He calls in practically every week. Thank you very much for that. Another question comes up. What's this question? Question is, dear Bebe, I will be redundant at the end of the furlough scheme in October 2020. I want to know where I can get your book, How to Move from Employee to Entrepreneur. Oh, thank you. You're so sweet. And I'm sorry to hear that you'll be made redundant. But you know what? Honestly, this could be the best thing for you, because sometimes if we're not pushed, we refuse to jump. So this actually might be the best thing for you. And the fact that you're even thinking as to how you can become an entrepreneur says to me that it is going to be a good thing for you. So you can get my book on Amazon. It's $12.99 on Amazon. Or you can get it on my website. My website is www.bbclement.com. Or if you drop me an email at bb@bbclement.com, and drop your mailing details, I will send you a copy. All you have to pay for is the postage, and I think that's about £1.50. And I will send you the book. And I'm actually feeling very generous today. So the first person who does that, the first person who sends me an email at bb@bbclement.com today, I will send you a free copy of my book. But otherwise, like I said, you can get it on Amazon or you can get it from my website. Okay, so do we have any more questions before I go on? Okay, yes, one more. Baby, wonderful program as usual. My partner and I have different personalities, which at the start of the business worked for us, but now it is becoming a source of tension between us. Ooh. He is outgoing and sociable, but not very interested in the heavy lifting which the business requires. At the start, with little heavy lifting, I was content to do all the administrative chores. But now that we have expanded, the work is getting too much for me, and he's not interested in getting his hands dirty with admin. What can I do, as I can't continue like this? I've spoken to him, and he promised to take on some of the tasks, but he's never in the office long enough to help. To be fair to him, he brings in business. Ooh, okay, and that's another regular caller, Editon. Now that can be an issue. That really can be an issue. And I sympathize. It might be worth you guys sitting down and being honest. You know, those difficult conversations have to be had, because if you don't have them, they become a cancer in the business. And so you will need to sit down and have that conversation, especially since it's clearly getting to you, because it will affect your business. And let him know that you are no longer able to carry the bulk like you are doing. Now, it may well be that you need to hire somebody else to do that if he's not willing to do it. You may find out reasons why he's not willing to do it. It might be something that can be amended or can be adjusted, or he needs help, or something going on in his private life. You never know. But again, you must have that conversation. Now, worst case scenario, it may well be that the partnership has to come to an end. I have seen cases like that. And in as much as that is difficult, and I'm always reluctant to do that, in situations where somebody is clearly not willing to pull their weight and has now become a drag on the business, then that conversation just has to be had. Do we continue as a partnership, or is it time for us to part ways? So hopefully that will not be your story. Hopefully once you've had the conversation, you can get somewhere. And if trying to have that conversation is too difficult, you may consider mediation, because mediation sometimes helps, because that person is independent. The mediator is independent, and they can look at things through unemotional eyes. So that may help you as well. Thank you so much for those questions. If I have any more coming in, I will answer them as well. But right now, let me get back to what we were saying. So now we're looking at the second thing that you need to develop if you're going to do well in business. And that is your process. You must develop your process. Let's have a look at what's included in your process. Now, look at things, anything that your business needs in order to be a success is part of your process. So things like your phone system, your IT system, your staff policies and procedures, your online presence, even something like your emails, your social media, that kind of thing. Now, we're going to look at these individually. But before we do, I need to establish something. And this is really, really important. If you don't get anything else after today's program, please get this. Very early on in your business, you must put systems in place that ensure that your business is not dependent on you physically being in an office for it to succeed or for it to bring money in. If it is, then respectfully, I suggest to you that you have not created a business, you have created a job, which is probably the very thing that you were trying to escape in the first place. I'm going to say that again, actually, because I think it's really important that you get this. Very early on in your business, you need to put systems in place that ensure that your business is not dependent on you physically being in the office all the time in order for money to be coming in. If it is, what you have created is not a business, it is a job. And you will very, very quickly hit burnout. Because you remember all the things that I spoke about, multitasking, hard work, this, that, and the other. If you're doing all that all the time, you will burn yourself out. So you need to be thinking of ways, things that you can put in place that bypass you. And one good way of looking at it is like this. If I drop dead today, can this business continue? If not, what do I need to put in place to ensure that it does? So one of the great things about COVID-19 is that it has forced companies to look at other ways in which they can carry out their business. So a lot of businesses, as you know, have gone online. They've gone online. I mean, I understand that even 5-star restaurants, who were very, very snobby before, 5-star restaurants are now doing deliveries. I mean, if you had even suggested that 3 months ago to like a Michelin star restaurant, you'd have been, laughed to scorn. But now they are doing deliveries. So you need to look at, things in your business. What things can I put in place that can ensure that this business can run without me? Okay. Now, let's look at your phone system. Now, again, we're talking about developing the 3 Ps. We talked about the person, we're talking about your process. Look at your phone system. Have somebody look at it for you. Is your phone system user-friendly? So when I call your office, does somebody pick up the phone immediately? Or does it ring and ring and ring and nobody picks it up? Or does it go to voicemail and the voicemail message is not clear? I'm not sure what to do. Maybe there isn't a message at all. I've run some offices where there's no message at all. Or it just beeps and then nothing. And I'm not sure what to do. I'm not sure whether it's gone to voicemail or what, or has it just stopped? Or you're not sure what to do. So those kind of things are very, very important in the development of your business. There's a system for leaving a message, is there a system for your staff to retrieve those messages? In other words, let's say you have a receptionist or a secretary. Does your secretary know that at intervals she has to check for messages? And if so, how soon is she required to get back to the client? So, for instance, you could let the client know that your messages are checked every, 3 hours. And so they can expect a call back within 24 hours. That helps the client. That helps the client know. So if the client hasn't heard from you, if the client is expecting that somebody will get back to them in 3 hours and they haven't heard from you for 6, at least they've been told that you would get a call back within 24 hours. So that's still fine. If they haven't heard from you in 6 hours, then that's within 24 hours. But it helps you manage the expectations of the clients. Okay, so those kind of things are very important. Look at your IT system. How is your IT system? Again, is it user-friendly? Does it work well? Look at something like even your emails. Are you using your emails to best advantage? So if you look at something like your signature at the bottom of your email, that is such a marketing tool, A lot of people don't even have a signature at the bottom of their email. And you're missing a trick if you don't have that. So if you go to my email address, if you send me an email, when I send it back, you will have something like kind regards, Bebe Clement, speaker, trainer, business consultant. The next line will have my contact details. The next line will have my website address. The next line will have all my online contact details, like my Twitter handle, my FB page, things like that. And then at the very last bit is my strapline, put your signature on life. So even if you don't know me and you've never engaged me, once I send you that, you get a pretty good picture of who I am just by reading my signature. All right. So these are the kind of things that you can develop that can really help your business. And somebody gave me a brilliant idea the other day, which I'm going to implement. She said, Bebe, you are a speaker. So let's say I have called you, I'm sending you an email for the first time, or receiving an email from you for the first time. It would be an idea for you to have a link in your signature that goes to a live video of you speaking. So I don't even have to contact you to ask, what do you do, that kind of thing. I can just click on that live link and see you in action and make a decision as to whether I want to hire you as a speaker. I thought that was a brilliant idea. Thank you, Helen, for that idea. So I'm going to do that. But again, this is about developing. We're all growing, we're all learning. So this is about getting new ideas, developing them, and incorporating them into your business to ensure that you become successful. Okay, then you want to look at your staff policies and procedures, and let's have a look at your staff themselves. Now, one of the things that people ask me is, how do I hire staff? Who should I hire for staff? Now, let me say this, academic qualifications are no longer they're still relevant, of course, but they're no longer as vital as they used to be. So, for instance, most of the people I hire, to be honest, they have their graduates, and as a basis, they have a 2-1 in whatever field that they're in. I mean, at one time we had a receptionist who had a first class in law. So paper qualifications are no longer the be-all and end-all. Employers need to be looking for something beyond that. Now, you need to be looking at people who are talented. I would take talent over paper qualifications any day, because paper qualifications don't always tell the whole story. So I would take talent over that any day. I would take passion over academic qualifications any day. Passion. I remember reading in Steve Jobs' biography, and he was saying that he always hires people who are passionate. That is the deciding factor for him. He's not interested in much of the rest. That's the deciding factor for him. And he said what he usually does is, when he's interviewing somebody, as he's talking to the person and he's carrying out the interview, he will put maybe their latest product on the table while he's talking to the person, and he will start unwrapping it. And he said those who are passionate, after a while, they're no longer listening to what he says, they're looking at the product. He said, and those who are really passionate, after a while, they'll say something like, Mr. Jones, I'm so sorry. What is that? And then start asking questions about the product, and start looking and touching the product, and then giving opinions about the product, and giving suggestions about the improvement of the product. He said, those are the people that I hire. And I've got to agree with him. I would rather take on somebody who clearly is passionate about what I'm doing and has a 3rd class in their academic qualification than someone who has a 1st class who is just very blasé, or is all about the money, or that kind of thing. Those things are really, really important. So hire Hire people who are smart, of course, book smart, yes, but more importantly, hire people who are talented, hire people who are passionate, and hire people who are hungry for a new experience and hungry to make a contribution. All right. Some of the people that when you share the vision of your company, their eyes light up. A lot of people want to be involved in something that is bigger than themselves, and that should be it. Because you'll find, research shows is that a lot of people who leave their job to go to another job don't leave because of the money. 9 times out of 10, money is not the motivating factor. It's usually they're bored, or they don't think that they're being used to best advantage. That kind of thing. Now, here's a key. For entry-level jobs, you can hire those who are just starting out and they need to grow for entry-level jobs. So that's fine. But for strategic positions, ladies and gentlemen, you need people who know what they're doing. You need people who you don't have to monitor and you don't have to hold their hand, people who don't have to run things by you all the time, people who can work independently, take strategic decisions, and can make those decisions in your stead. You remember what I said earlier, that if you have to be in the office all the time in order for decisions to be made, or in order for certain things to be carried out, then your business is going to be in trouble. So when it comes to strategic level, you need people who know what they're doing. Okay, now again, in regards to your staff, create a work environment that you would like to go to. This is my rule of thumb. I try to create a work environment for my employees that I would like to get up and go to every morning. So praise your staff often, not just willy-nilly, of course, but if they've done well, praise them. Now, the quiet praise in the office, quiet word in the office is nice, but there's no greater accolade than publicly praising your staff or acknowledging something they've done in front of their peers. That's why the Oscars and the Academy Awards are so important, because it's public acknowledgement in front of peers to the success of what you've done. So make sure that you do that often, maybe at the next staff meeting. If somebody has done something really good or they've brought in new business, let everybody know that this person has done this. Let it be appreciated, let it be acknowledged, and where possible, let it be rewarded. Okay, I'm going to be rounding up the show in a minute. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to finish everything, but that's fine. We can have a part 2. Don't pigeonhole your staff. And by that, I mean, just because you've hired somebody to do one particular job, if you notice along the way that actually they're quite good at something else, so maybe you hire them to be a lawyer, but you notice that they have very good media skills. They like social media. They're very good at that. Then let them play around with that as well. So don't pigeonhole people. Use them to best advantage. One of the things that you could do is move your staff around the company. Get them to work in different parts of the company. It will give them a greater understanding, a global outlook of the company, and a greater appreciation for your vision of what it is that you are trying to do. Okay. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I think we're going to end it there. The last thing I want to say is make your social media clean and professional. Now, this is very important in this day and age, because if you're to be taken serious as an entrepreneur, then all your social media needs to send the same message. So you cannot, look professional on LinkedIn, and when I go and look at your Facebook page, I see you drunkenly falling out of some nightclub on Friday night. That it doesn't look good. So make sure you tidy up your social media as part of your development. At some point we will go into the product, but it won't be today. But hopefully the next show I will start with that. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you again. I hope you enjoyed the show today. I hope you did. Once again, if you drop me an email, first person to drop me an email, we get a free copy of my book today. The email address to contact is bb@bbclement.com. And if you want to buy the book, you can go to Amazon. It's $12.99 on Amazon, or you can drop me a line on my website. You can buy it on my website, or you can drop me a line on my email, and I will send you a copy. Ladies and gentlemen, stay safe, stay well, stay connected. I wish you all the best in your business. Lots of prosperity this week, and I'll see you the same time next week. Don't forget, don't let life dictate to you. Rather, put your signature on life.
Hi everyone, it's your girl Bebe Clement, the author of How to Go from Employee to Entrepreneur and the host of your weekly business show, BB Means Business, the show where we discuss everything you ever wanted to know about business but you were afraid to ask. How do I start my business? How do I raise the finance? How do I grow my business? Where am I going to find my customers? Join me every Tuesday at 1:30 p.m. on Star Radio UK to get all the information and tips that you need to become a successful entrepreneur and become financially free. Remember, don't let life dictate to you. Rather, put your signature on life.